Good morning, primary class. This is your story for Wednesday in our lesson, Paul's Last Days. Many of the people who heard Paul speak that day became Christians. Remember, Paul was standing before Nero and so many different people. That day, truth shone like a bright light that Satan would never, ever be able to put out. The harder he tried, the brighter the light of truth became. After what Paul said, Nero was so afraid he didn't decide about Paul. He sent him back to his lonely dungeon. But Paul knew that he didn't have much longer to live. Nero became more and more angry that he wasn't able to stop the Christians from growing. He found out that even some of the people in his own palace were believing in Jesus. Finally, he ordered that Paul be put to death. Read what Paul wrote to Timothy before he died in 2 Timothy 4, verse 7 and 8. I have fought the good fight. I have finished my course. I have kept the faith. Henceforth there is laid up for me a crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, shall give me at that day, and not to me only, but unto all of them also that love his appearing. We have learned only a few stories about Paul, the great missionary. For Jesus, someday after Jesus takes us to heaven, we can talk to Paul ourselves. But now, when we feel afraid or discouraged, we can remember the things that happened to Paul. He told us about some of them in a letter to the church in Corinth, 2 Corinthians 11, verses 24 through 28. There it is. 2 Corinthians 11. Okay. Verses 24 through 28. Of the Jews, 5 times I received 40 stripes, save one. That means 39. In journeying, thrice I was beaten with rods. Once I was stoned. Thrice I suffered shipwreck. A night and a day I have been in the deep. In journeyings often. In perils of water. In perils of robbers. In perils by my own countrymen. In perils by the heathen. In perils by the city. In perils by the wilderness. In perils in the sea. In perils among the false brethren. In weariness and painfulness, in watchings often, in hunger and thirst, in fastings often, in cold, in nakedness. Besides those things that are without, that which cometh upon me daily, the care of all the churches. But Paul never complained. He found out that even though he was really weak, Jesus always made him strong because Paul depended on him. 2 Corinthians 12 verse 10 says, Therefore I take pleasure in infirmities, in reproaches, in necessities, in persecutions, in distresses for Christ's sake. For when I am weak, then am I strong. We are naturally weak too, aren't we? Satan wants to destroy us by getting us to give in to the wrong things that we naturally want to do. Is Jesus able to help us like he helped Paul?